Caribou's Kehihihi in the New World. This cover story is set after the events of Fishman Island arc and before the Wano country arc. After the confrontation with Pegoms, Caribou goes on another mermaid kidnapping spree at Mermaid Cove, until Jinbei puts a stop to him. Jinbei then puts Caribou in a barrel, and after his farewells, he takes him away from Fishman Island while riding a coated boat to the surface. Suddenly, Caribou's brother Caribou and the Caribou pirates appear. Unfortunately for Caribou, Jinbei quickly starts to swim away from Caribou as fast as he could, taking Caribou with him. Later, Jinbei arrives at the G5 Marine Base, shocking Caribou. So G5 Marine Base is the same marine base that Smoker operates from. Many of the sailors or marines on Smoker's vessel come from G5. Jinbei then leaves Caribou at the base, and Caribou is then seen tied up at the feet of Commodore Yarisugi, as the marines imagine the various ways to torture him. When the marines are about to burn Caribou at the stake, Caribou and the Caribou pirates appear, and Caribou calls out to them to save him. The Caribou pirates then begin attacking the G5 Marines. Caribou manages to cut down the stake and saves Caribou. Once freed, Caribou takes advantage of the chaos and flees on his cruise ship, leaving his brother and all his crewmates behind, much to Caribou's shock. The ship is later caught up in a large storm, and Caribou is forced to flee the ship by rowing a small rowboat. This is divine retribution for his actions of abandoning his brother. Having barely escaped with his life from the sea, he arrives on an unknown island. However, this island does seem familiar to us, as we saw a scene of a member of the worst generation on this island before the time skip. After passing out due to having succumbed to his injuries, he later wakes up to find an old lady nursing him back to health. Caribou eats the woman's pie and then steals her jewelry while she sleeps. After she wakes up, she gives him a lunchbox filled with meat pies and directions to the harbour. While walking towards the port, he sees some people calling him Commander Gaburu. The old lady suddenly appears and scares off the men by throwing stones at them. She then sends Caribou off to port. Before getting there, he goes back out of curiosity, only to find the men from earlier still looking for him. He stays hidden and stealthily looks around. On this panel we can see at the back there seems to be a sort of factory sending out plumes of smoke. This is actually quite important later in the Wano country arc. Still looking around stealthily, Caribou sees a gathering of soldiers showing a banner of their revolutionary leader, Commander Gaburu, who bears an uncanny resemblance to Caribou, which explains why the soldiers believed he is their lost commander. After the soldiers begin to revolt, the revolution is put down by Kaido's subordinate, Scotch, as Caribou watches in terror. So this island appears to belong to Kaido. After defeating the revolutionaries, Scotch looks down on them. Caribou then enters the old lady's house and is horrified to see her lying on the ground, surrounded by fire. He looks at the picture laying next to her. He sees that in the picture, Gaburu is eating a meat pie made by the old woman, and the picture is titled I Love Grandson Gaburu, revealing that Gaburu is now dead and was the grandson of the old woman. She soon wakes up and tries to prevent Caribou from fighting, begging him to run away as she too believes the pirate to be her grandson. Her house is then broken into by Scotch, who wastes no time in attacking her, greatly shocking Caribou. Somehow, Caribou manages to escape Scotch and runs away. Once Caribou escapes from Scotch, he runs into his brother Caribou and his crewmates, who have escaped from the G5 Marines with a stolen marine ship. Caribou and Caribou quickly reconcile due to their now deceased grandmother telling them to always be on good terms with one another. Meanwhile, Scotch captures Gaburu's grandmother and is about to execute her as an example. He is interrupted when a marine ship is seen arriving in the distance. On the ship are none other than Caribou and his crew, with the former posing as Commander Gaburu. Once back on ground, they waste no time engaging Scott and his men in battle while simultaneously freeing the workers and Gaburu's grandmother. Caribou appears to quickly gain an advantage against Scotch, choking him with his devil fruit powers. After defeating Scotch and his forces, they all start to celebrate their victory. But then a dinosaur suddenly appears and knocks the brothers off their platform. The Titanic lizard soon turns back into ex-Drake and drags Caribou off. Gaburu's grandmother, greatly saddened, gives her grandson one last pie. Drake takes Caribou on a ship and sails out to sea. As the revolutionaries, the old woman, and Caribou's crew bid their farewell. While they're all giving their farewells, Gaburu's grandmother recalls how Caribou tried to protect this grandmother from ex-Drake. Not long after, Gaburu's grandmother visits the grave of the real revolutionary commander and reveals that she knew the whole time who Caribou really was, much to the shock of Caribou and the rest of the Caribou's crew.